Do you have any particular artifacts here that are special, more special than others?
The George Washington letter.
And how does that resonate with you?
It's, we know him as a farmer, and we know him as the first president of our country. We know him as a general in the American Revolution. But that was George Washington, a brother. And it was an opportunity to see him on a more personal side. He remarked in the letter, I am the first and now I am the last. He was the oldest of his 5 siblings, and they had all predeceased him. It wouldn't be by much. That letter's written in September of 1799, and of course he dies 3 months later in December. But nevertheless, it just has really touched me.
And when the public comes here, are they drawn to any particular objects?
More often than not, they're drawn to the wagon. I kind of keep an eye, especially today with the new layout. More often than not. But I'd say that's probably because the first thing is the question, is this the wagon? Yeah. And yes, it is the wagon. It's not a replica. It is the wagon. Probably never been able to discover who built it or the time. But we had it verified that the carriage, at least, is the carriage that pulled Brown. Looks like the box may have been replaced, but it was the panel van of the day. It was a delivery wagon. The Sadler boys put furniture in that and delivered furniture all around the county. But I think that's probably the most often visited.
So there have been a lot of changes in this museum since you've been associated with it. We experienced the COVID epidemic recently. How did that impact you and the museum operations?
We opened on March the 17th, a Saturday, and on March 20th, then Governor Jim Justice shut the state down. And the museum was closed from March 2020 until early June 2021. And I worked at home. The library board permitted me to, permitted Jane, permitted Sarah and myself to continue to work at home, and I worked at home until June 2021. Principally writing, researching and writing. I was still answering questions online. Sarah Houston, who at the time was our curator, had found an application that permitted our home computers to be connected to our museum computers. So I had access to Past Perfect, all of our document collection. And I would come in periodically to get photographs from the collection or to do some research in the Perry Room. But I worked at home online for that time period and was really productive. At that time, I was writing articles for the Spirit of Jefferson called History Matters. and I must have done nearly 30. And instead of hearing or then and now pictures with a photograph of Charlestown in 1850 and a Charlestown in the same place today, I was able to write in-depth articles about Jefferson County history. So it was pretty productive.
The Spirit of Jefferson is the local newspaper.
Yes,
correct?
yes. West Virginia's oldest newspaper in continuous publication since 1844, with exception of a brief period during the American Revolution.
So during COVID, it sounds like there was a lot of productive work done,
Yes.
as well as some continuation of public interface.
Yes. Yeah. And like a lot of places, it really had an impact on our visitation once we reopened in June 2021. Those, we closed in December, but those months, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, were very lightly. We were still requiring masks, and not many, but some refused. It was also complicated by the fact that at that time, our director, Jane Rissler, was seriously ill and was fighting cancer. So we were all very particularly concerned about being safe around her. But we're gradually recovering visitation-wise.
And can you tell us about any notable events or things that happened here at the museum that stick with you?
In 2009, the Park Service and the community commemorated the 150th anniversary of John Brown's raid. And there was a big community celebration. On one of those days, and I can't recall which, but anyway, they had Descendants Day. And there were almost 400 people who were descendants of someone who had a relationship to people involved in the raid at Harper's Ferry, including a woman who was a direct descendant of John Brown. And she was here, and we talked for at length. And she told me at the time, she said that this was the first time that she had publicly acknowledged her relationship to John Brown. That her family was reticent about making it known that they had that connection. As part of that commemoration, there was a seminar, and one of the topics was John Brown, martyr or madman. And the debate got rather heated. It's a good thing we didn't have guns on the table. But 150 years after the fact, he was still able to generate a great deal of passion. So that's memorable. In 2012, Frank Buckles, who was the last surviving U.S. soldier from World War I, died. And when the museum opened in April that year, we dedicated an exhibit case to Frank Buckles. His uniform's right over there, and exhibit cards that tell the story of Frank's life. Had a remarkable life. At the age of 103, he was still driving a tractor at his farm out at the Gap View Farm.
Have you had any influential mentors in your life?
Oh my, yes. Yes. Probably the person who had the biggest impact on me was Dr. Jim Price in Shepherdstown. He was the first Shepherdstown historian laureate. And I was friends with his son. His son had juvenile diabetes, and we were very close. And I got to know Dr. Price through Jimmy, and he always kept me at arm's length. I was a Charlestown boy, and of course Dr. Price was anything and everything Shepherdstown, you know. He used to brag that there were people standing in line waiting to get a postal box at the Shepherdstown postal box because it's the most popular postal box in the United States. But eventually, he thought he had inoculated me enough that I was acceptable as company, and we developed a very close friendship. And we're working on 2 big projects when he died. But he was certainly a big influence on my love of local history.
Have you mentored people?
Not in the same relationship that I had with Dr. Price. I don't play well with others. And I think that probably has had something to do with it. Not to say that, you know, I'm not willing to offer anything that I have, but I'm sort of a loner.
Are there any lessons that you've learned from your work life here at the museum?
I have a bad habit. I make pretty quick decisions about people, especially people that I first meet. And sometimes that doesn't serve you well, because you make a bad decision, and you don't know what you lose because of a decision that you've made. So during my tenure here at the museum, I have become less judgmental and more willing to give a fair shot at you know, what people are talking about, what they want to know. So that has been the biggest change in the way I work with people, the way I perceive people.
Where would you envision this museum 20 years from now? How might it be different?
Well, the most obvious is under the leadership of someone like our current director, Lori Wysong, the exhibits won't be static. You know, Lori is always thinking. And last year we started talking about providing context through exhibit cards of the displays. You know, we have a marvelous collection, and there's accurate description of each of the artifacts, but it was hard to put the story together. So we started with John Brown, the Civil War, and they're going to do the pre-American Revolution and the Revolution. So I as long as she's here, I expect that will continue, and that's an important change. The museum really, I think the next step needs a legitimate research area, an area where documents and photographs are correctly stored and also accessible, and a place for a researcher to come and be able to spread their materials out and do the research. So I would hope that that would occur. But, you know, we have limitations. We're limited to Lori's office, the gallery, and the storage area. But I also think a trend which started with Jane is to make this truly the Jefferson County Museum. For a long while, the exhibits were dominated by Charlestown. And we've made an effort to try to become representative of all areas in the community. We've also began to tell the story of all citizens of the county, not just white citizens, but black citizens, and we're exploring, you know, the Hispanic population. Laurie has now gotten students from Shepherd who have done a translation of the Brown exhibit in Spanish so that they are able to see what that's all about. So I think that's another positive move, but to be inclusive of all the county and to be inclusive of all the people of the county, I think will continue as a positive direction for the museum.
I understand you're retiring soon from
Yes.
the museum?
Yes.
When do you think that will be?
I'm done.
Ah, okay.
I'm done. Talk with Marcella and Lori. And I'm still going to volunteer. I've got some things, you know, I'm still going to answer research questions, and certainly anything I can help Lori with, I'll do. But as far as coming here 2-3 days a week, I'm done.
Doug, I've asked you a whole litany of questions. Is there anything I haven't asked that I should?
Can't think of it, John. The only thing, let me reiterate how lucky I've been. You know, the only time I've left this county was to go to school, and I went to Morgantown, and that was a lifelong dream. You know, I was a youngster with a transition radio listening to the Mountaineers play football